Are you confused about the different lenses available for your DSLR, mirrorless, or video camera? Well, stay tuned to the end of this video because I'm going to give you 10 tips on choosing the correct lens for your camera and shooting conditions to get you shooting like a master in no time. Once you take the leap into buying an interchangeable lens camera to shoot photos and videos, you're going to want to get some additional lenses to improve the quality and variety of your work. Your camera won't reach its true potential until you take a deep dive into the world of lenses. It's a somewhat sad fact that most interchangeable lens camera buyers never take off the kit lens that came with the camera, which sort of defeats the purpose of having an interchangeable lens camera in the first place. So what do you look for in lenses to get the most out of your new camera? Chances are investing in a new lens will offer a better boost to image quality than upgrading the camera body, not to mention open up new creative opportunities. Hi, I'm Jim Costa. I'm a videography, photography, and technology guru, but you can call me a dadographer. I've created many other videos on improving your photography, videography, filmmaking, video editing, audio recording, and technology skills, and I'll link to those in the description below, and both during and at the end of this video, so stay tuned. If you want to learn more, remember to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell to be notified when I upload new videos. I upload every week, and I'll be uploading many more explanations of film, video, photo editing, and technology topics. Stay tuned to the end to find out how to get my absolutely free DSLR and mirrorless camera cheat sheet that'll have you shooting like a pro with any lens that you choose in no time. Number 1, consider the variety of lens options. If you've yet to pull a trigger on a new camera, make sure that you check out the lens options available for the brands and models that you're researching. Sure, unless you're a pro, it's unlikely that anyone needs to buy a dozen lenses for their camera, but the larger the collection available, the more variety you will have to choose from wide-angle to telephoto lenses and everything in between. Above all, make sure the specific type of lens you need for your personal style and the work you are going to do are available for your system of choice. For example, if you primarily photograph or videotape landscapes, you will want a different type of lens than if you plan to shoot mostly portraits or architecture or shoot weddings or anything else. Number 2, keep the lens mount in mind. When you buy an interchangeable lens camera, you are entering a relationship with the specific hardware mount determined by the brand, so it's not a choice to be taken lightly. For example, Nikon and Canon cameras use incompatible mounts, while Canon's EOS-M mirrorless series uses an even different mount than its Canon DSLR cousins. With the exception of Panasonic and Olympus, who share the Micro Four Thirds mount, virtually every manufacturer sticks to its own proprietary lens mount. In some cases, you can put one type of lens on a different type of body using a mount adapter, which is relatively common for putting DSLR lenses on smaller mirrorless bodies. But this almost always sacrifices some functionality or performance from both the lens and the camera body. Additionally, while Nikon and Canon have been using their respective f and EF mounts for decades, that doesn't mean that every lens they make is compatible with every body. Some older lenses may not be able to use autofocus on newer cameras, for example. To check, Google a lens compatibility chart for your camera brand and model before you hit that Add to Cart button and make your purchase. Also, be aware that some specialty lenses may not offer autofocus at all, although you probably won't run into these unless you're looking into the world of creative effects lenses or high-end options from premium lens makers like Zeiss. Number 3, let's go beyond the basics and look at zoom and focal lengths. DSLR and mirrorless cameras, particularly entry-level models, are often sold in kits, meaning they are typically supplied with a basic zoom lens, which may be something like 18 to 55 millimeters or 14 to 42 millimeters depending upon the brand and format of your camera. Every manufacturer is different. One common misconception about large interchangeable lens models is that they offer inherently better zoom capability than a compact point-and-shoot type camera. In fact, the opposite is often true. An 18 to 55 millimeter lens is only about a 3x zoom, compared to a compact camera with a 20x to as much as 40x zoom built in. Typically, the maximum zoom power you'll find on an interchangeable lens is around 10x, but comparing a DSLR or mirrorless camera to a point-and-shoot isn't really fair. Interchangeable lens cameras use much larger sensors that produce very high-quality images compared to a compact model, but those larger sensors require equivalently larger lenses. This is why small cameras can have oodles of zoom, while larger cameras require multiple lenses to cover the same zoom range. Zoom is also commonly confused with how close a lens can bring the subject. A zoom number like 3x only shows the range from the widest angle to the furthest angle of the lens. Zoom is a good indicator of flexibility then, but not how close you can get with that lens. For that, you need the focal length, or the number with the millimeters after it, like 50 millimeters. In point-and-shoot cameras, it's more common for manufacturers to advertise the zoom rating of the lens from 10x to 40x or anywhere in between. Whereas DSLR and mirrorless lenses will be advertised by their focal length range, say 18 to 55 millimeters, 24 to 120 millimeters, and so forth. If a lens has a single focal length number, for example 50 millimeters, it's a prime lens and doesn't zoom at all. Number 4, focal length and lens categories. Focal length indicates whether or not the lens captures a wide or narrow angle of view. The focal length of the lens determines the category that the lens falls into. On a full-frame camera, fisheye lenses are typically wider or lower numbers than 14 millimeters, although something this wide is not necessarily a fisheye. Wide-angle lenses typically cover about 14 to 35 millimeter lenses. Standard or normal lenses sit around 50 millimeters, give or take. Telephoto lenses cover somewhere from 70 to about 200 millimeters. Super telephotos bring the subject up close with a 300 millimeter or more focal length. Macro lenses come in multiple focal lengths, but allow you to get up close to the subject for extreme detail. Tilt shift lenses are a type of specialty lens often used in architecture photography to correct distortion. These type of lenses are beyond the scope of this video, so I'm not going to get into these lenses much further. A smaller focal length will capture more of the scene because it covers a wide angle, while a larger focal length will bring the subject in close because it zooms in. Wide-angle lenses then are often used for landscapes or working in tight quarters, while telephoto lenses are popular for wildlife, sports, and even things like wedding ceremonies, if you shoot from the back. Portrait lenses generally fall in the short telephoto range from 50 millimeters to 105 millimeters, although they can be longer. While shooting portraits with a wide-angle lens can be done, such lenses tend to cause distortion. This is why your nose always looks bigger in selfies, because smartphones have wide-angle lenses. These mid-range focal length lenses are also great for shooting video in many situations as well. The focal length also determines how easy it will be to blur the background of an image. A telephoto lens will make the background appear more blurred than a wide-angle lens, even at the same f-stop, which I'll get into in a bit. This is another reason why telephotos are popular for portraiture. They help separate the subject from the background. While a macro lens is most often a telephoto, what's actually important here is the magnification or reproduction ratio, which is independent of the focal length. A typical macro lens will have a reproduction ratio of about 1:1. Which means if you photograph, say, a coin, the image of the coin projected by the lens onto the sensor will be the exact same size as the coin itself. You can imagine then how much detail will be visible when you look at the image on your computer screen or make a large print. I've actually done a video on the reproduction ratio, and I'll link to that video in the description below as well. Tilt shift lenses, meanwhile, are designed for keeping lines straight, which is why they are used in architecture photography. They are pricey niche lenses you're unlikely to encounter this early in your photographic journey. Number 5 is to consider the numbers game using the crop factor to determine the equivalent focal length. Although a lens's focal length may be 14 to 42 millimeters, 18 to 55 millimeters, 24 to 70 millimeters, and so on, these numbers can't be directly compared to each other across different formats. The actual angle of view that you'll capture isn't impacted by the size of the camera's imaging sensor, with the most common sizes or formats being full frame, APS-C, and micro four thirds. To understand what a lens will look like on one format compared to a different lens on another format, we need to convert those focal lengths into some kind of standard. The industry agreed upon method for doing this is to use the full frame focal length, which is calculated using the format's crop factor. Most APS-C sensors have a crop factor of 1.5x, which means if you multiply a lens's focal length by 1.5, you will get a full frame equivalent focal length for that lens. Canon is an oddball here with a crop factor of 1.6 on its APS-C cameras. For example, an 18 to 55 millimeter kit lens on a Nikon D5600 will have the same full frame equivalent focal length of a 27 to 82.5 millimeter lens. The micro four thirds format is a bit smaller than APS-C and has a crop factor of 2. So a 14 to 42 millimeter MFT lens will have an equivalent focal length of 28 to 84 millimeters. Do you notice anything about these numbers? An 18 to 55 millimeter APS-C lens provides just about the same amount of field of view as a 14 to 42 millimeter MFT lens. Across manufacturers and formats, basic kit lenses cover roughly equal zoom ranges and fields of view. So why is all this important? In the days of 35mm film, most cameras use the same size recording medium, 35mm film. So when looking at the focal length of a lens, the user immediately knew what angle of view it would capture. A 24mm lens was always a wide angle. 50mm lens was always a normal lens. A 24 to 70mm zoom would always cover anything from wide angle to short telephoto. Nowadays, the only instance where the stated focal length of a lens is a one-for-one comparison are on cameras with full-frame sensors. In these cameras, the sensor is the same size as a frame of 35mm film. This is why when you look at a lens, you'll often see it's listed as full-frame equivalent or 35mm equivalent. When buying lenses, you always have to keep in mind how the size of the sensor impacts the angle of view of the resulting images. Using a 50mm f1.8 lens on a Canon Rebel T6i will not yield a normal angle of view as it will on a full-frame camera. Instead, it becomes a moderate telephoto around 80mm due to the 1.6x crop factor. Likewise, on a micro four thirds camera, a 25mm lens is not a wide-angle lens but equivalent to a 50mm lens due to the 2x crop factor. If you don't quite understand crop factor, that's okay. I've also done a video on that subject, and I'll link to that in the description below as well. Once you've decided on your format, you don't really need to worry about equivalency anymore. Slap a lens on your camera and what you see is what you get. However, when comparing formats, understanding the crop factor isn't just about knowing what you're talking about. It can actually save you money and help make sure you're picking the right camera system for your needs. Now, if all this is making sense to you, but I've got it in the comment section below. Number 6, the advantages of zoom lenses. The convenience of a zoom lens can't be beat, as it offers a wide range of focal lengths, while a prime lens is stuck at just one. Beyond the basic 3x kit zooms, there are 7x and 12x, often called super zooms, that are very popular. You'll see figures like 18 to 200 millimeters or maybe 28 to 300 millimeters. Other lenses are made to pick up where your kit lens leaves off, like a 55 to 200 millimeter and so forth. The trade-off with zooms, particularly high-powered zooms that cover a long range, is that they generally aren't as sharp or as bright as prime lenses. Professional zoom lenses are quite good, but often offer less than 3x zoom power and are considerably more expensive than kit zooms or prime lenses. There are loads of zoom options. Just check the manufacturer's website and details for prices. If you just want more reach than your kit lens, something like a 55-200 or 55-300 millimeter lens, depending upon what's offered by your manufacturer for your specific camera, is an affordable way to do that. And don't be afraid to venture beyond the brand name on the front of your camera. There are third-party brands available like Sigma, Tamron, and Tokina that offer a wide variety of optics, often with better price and performance ratios than first-party lenses. Number 7, consider the excellent focal length of prime lenses. Prime lenses, or more specifically fixed focal length lenses, offer just one field of view. Prime lenses are some of the best lenses you can get for the money, and in most cases offer better image quality and low light performance than their zoom counterparts. A 25mm and 50mm f1.8 lens, for example, are good examples of prime lenses. This particular focal length is a popular recommendation for photographers looking to move beyond the kit lens, thanks to the relatively low cost and fantastic image quality, as well as low light performance of this type of lens. There are also many specialty lenses that are more common in prime form, like macro and fisheye lenses. Portrait lenses and many super telephoto lenses are also offered in fixed focal length form. Prime lenses typically come with larger apertures denoted by the f number, like f1.8. These lenses let in more light and allow for more background blur, which is nice, for example, when shooting portraits. With your standard kit zoom, you'll have to start using the flash in instances where you can still work with available light when using a fast prime lens. Another reason to go with a prime lens is simply size, especially with smaller mirrorless cameras. So-called pancake lenses are very popular, which are ultra-low profile prime lenses that you can take with you anywhere. Beginning photographers may feel limited by working with a prime, but you shouldn't be. After all, a prime lens is what you've been shooting on with your cell phone all this time. Tip number 8, open wide with the largest aperture. As you start searching for lenses, you may do several double takes when you look at the prices. You may see one 50mm lens for $120 and another for $1,600 from the same manufacturer. With both primes and zooms, there are many factors that can make one lens of the same focal length more expensive than another. But the key difference is the aperture, or how wide the lens can open. As mentioned above, this is measured in f-stops, and in what seems counterintuitive, the lower the f-stop number, the more light you can capture. All but the most demanding professionals won't need an f1.2 lens, but if you do a lot of shooting in low light without a flash, investing in a lens with a wide aperture, maybe f1.8 to f2 range is certainly worthwhile. For comparison, most kit zoom lenses have apertures no wider than f3.5, and almost always the effective aperture decreases as you zoom. This is why you'll see lenses written something like 18 to 55mm f3.5 to 5.6. This implies that at 18mm the widest aperture is f3.5, while at 55mm the widest aperture is 5.6. A prime lens with a large aperture often lets in 2, 3, 4, or even more times the amount of light. Professional level zoom lenses typically max out at f2.8 and are specifically engineered to maintain that aperture throughout the zoom range. Something like 24 to 70 f2.8 is a popular lens of this type from many manufacturers, but such models can cost well over $2,000. Tip number 9, stay steady with image stabilization. Many interchangeable lens cameras have image stabilization built into the body to help eliminate shaky shots. Any lens you attach to the camera will automatically be stabilized. Canon and Nikon are the two biggest companies who do not offer this on any interchangeable lens models. If you want stabilization on one of these cameras, you have to buy a stabilized lens. Manufacturers use various tags to denote this feature, from Canon's IS for image stabilization to Nikon's VR for vibration reduction to Sony's OSS or optical steady shot. Stabilization isn't always necessary for still photography, but it's great for shooting video. Shooting at a fast shutter speed will keep things nice and sharp as an alternative. However, when working in low light at slow shutter speeds, shooting video in any condition for the most part, and using very long focal lengths, stabilization is very important. Many Sony, Olympus, Panasonic, and Pentax cameras offer built-in stabilization, but may still sell stabilized lenses as well. It's important to note that Not all cameras made by these manufacturers have in-body stabilization, so be sure to check your specific model. In many cases, if you buy a camera with built-in stabilization, then buying a lens that also has stabilization won't necessarily make any improvements, but nor will it also hurt anything. So buy the lens you want to buy based on the focal length, zoom power, and aperture, and if it happens to be stabilized, just consider that a bonus. However, Panasonic now offers what's called dual IS, or image stabilization, on some camera models, which can use both in-body and lens stabilization together, offering even more shake reduction power than just lens or body alone. Number 10 are your next steps. The best lens to add to your kit depends on what you want to shoot, but now that you understand focal length, aperture, and extra features like stabilization, you know how to choose a lens that fits your style. A 50mm f1.8 lens is an affordable bright lens that's great for low light photos, portraits, and snapping better pictures of your pets. For landscape and travel, a wide-angle lens might be in order, while telephotos are excellent for bringing wildlife and athletes up close. As you enter the world of interchangeable lenses, you can delve deeper with research into things like optical design, the number of aperture blades, lens coatings, and all the other good stuff that makes expensive lenses so expensive. It can be a bit arcane, but you've already taken the biggest leap of all by simply purchasing a DSLR, mirrorless camera, or interchangeable lens video camera. There is a wealth of information out there, but don't let yourself be intimidated, and most importantly, remember to have fun when you're shooting. My question of the day is, what lens do you want to get next and why? Leave a comment below and let us know. Would you like to learn more about your camera settings to get you shooting like a pro? I've created an absolutely free cheat sheet for you on all the best camera settings for your DSLR, mirrorless, and video camera that will show you the settings that will allow your photos and videos to compete with the pros, no matter what lens you choose. The link to get that sheet is just below in the video description. I've also created cheat sheets on other topics such as video editing, and even now offer training courses on editing video using Adobe Premiere Pro, which is part of the Adobe Creative Suite, and soon I'll have others as well. I'll link to those cheat sheets and training courses below as well. Do you want to see more videos like this? Follow my YouTube channel, jimcostafilms, for many more. Think what you saw was great? Like it. Do you have an opinion? Comment below. You know someone who could benefit from the information I provided? Share the video. Do you want to learn even more? If so, then connect with Jim Costa Films on social media and online on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and the web. I currently have nearly 4,300 videos on my YouTube channel, Jim Costa Films, so feel free to check out many of my other videos for great tips and suggestions. If you followed me for a while now, you may know that I have a community of photographers, videographers, filmmakers, editors, and others just like you on Facebook, where I share pro tips and tricks. It's called Video Producers and Content Creators. I love new members who want to share their work and learn from others. You'll find a link to that group in the description below as well.